Koi has not not me choking on air. Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be filming another book recommendations video, and the trope that I'm going to be recommending books for today is childhood friends to enemies to lovers. Now this is one of my favorite more specific tropes, and I've done enemies to lovers on my channel and also friends to lovers, so I thought I'd combine the two and do when they're childhood friends, something happens that causes them to fall out of contact and then they become enemies. And then that turns into lovers again, and it's just like one of my favorite tropes of all time. I love this trope. I've read so many books with this trope in it, and I'm excited to share them all with you today. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into this video. Okay, so the first book that I'm going to be recommending today is Bully by Penelope Douglas. This is like the epitome. This and Punk 57 are literally the perfect books for this trope. So basically this book follows Tate and Jared, and Tate and Jared are obviously childhood best friends, and then something happens that causes them to have a falling out. I don't want to tell you what it is because I don't want to spoil anything. And then you fast forward a few years later and they're in their, I don't remember what year of high school, but they're in one year of high school. I don't remember if it's freshman year or the one after that. I'm not American, I don't know. Jared has been bullying her ever since they had this falling out, and he bullies her at school, and she is really fed up with it. She doesn't understand why he's bullying her or what she did, because she was literally like in love with him. She thought those feelings were reciprocated and they were like the best of friends, and they're next door neighbors as well, I'm pretty sure. And then all of a sudden he's just started bullying her for literally no reason. And so, well, she thinks it's no reason. And so, yeah, she decides that she's actually going to study abroad in France for a year. So she leaves, she goes to France, she comes back, and you fast forward a year later, it's her senior year of high school, I think. And she comes back, she's basically a changed person. She's like, I'm not going to put up with his shit anymore. I am going to fight back. I'm going to just not take anything from him because I'm sick of it. And obviously she starts fighting back. Jared sees this. He's like, oh my god, this is a completely different Tate to the Tate that was here last year. And obviously he is still so attracted to her, still basically in love with her, but he doesn't want to admit those feelings to himself because he wants to hate her, but he can't fully hate her. And so yeah, eventually things do happen between them. You find out what caused them to have this falling out, and a relationship does form, and it's super cute. And yeah, this book is so good. It's actually a series as well. Other two books in the series follow characters that you see in the first book, and then I also believe there's a whole book that's told in Jared's point of view, because this book is only told in Tate's point of view. So there's another book called Until You, I believe, that's told in Jared's point of view. I haven't read that yet, but I want to, just to know what Jared was thinking throughout this whole book, because you obviously don't get to see. This is the first book that I'm going to be recommending to you guys today. Okay, I have no idea what happened, but this whole clip of me talking about this next book is like out of focus, and I'm really sorry. I can't do anything about it, but I promise it gets better after that, and the focus is fine for the rest of the video, so I'm really sorry. But just bear with me, it should be fine for the rest of the video. You're just gonna have to ignore the out of focus for this next book. Next book that I'm gonna be recommending to you guys today is Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas as well. Now this book is the book that literally made me fall in love with this trope. It was one of the first, I think it was the first book that I ever read with this trope, and I literally fell in love with this trope after I read this book, and Punk 57 is one of my favorite books. So this follows Misha and Ryan. I've also recommended this one on my channel a bunch. This follows Misha and Ryan, and basically Misha and Ryan are childhood pen pals, and they got set up in this program when they were in school. elementary school, primary school, whatever, and they were set up to be pen pals, and they decided to continue this throughout the years even after the program was up at school, and they've been doing it throughout high school, and they agreed that they're never going to meet or show their faces or look each other up on social media or anything like that, because they don't want to like ruin the image that they've created in their heads. And then one day Misha actually accidentally finds out who Ryan is, and it's kind of, she's nothing like he expected her to be. He wants to like give her a chance, you know, not judge it based on what he's like seeing her act at this like party. But then something really tragic happens and he stops writing letters for 3 months, I believe. Ryan is super confused. She doesn't know what happened. She doesn't know what she did wrong. She doesn't know why he stopped writing. She continues to write to him, but he's not writing back. And then she decides that she's just gonna, you know, go about her lives and nothing she can really do about it. And then at school, this new boy Mason shows up. She has no idea that Mason is Misha, but Mason / Misha knows that Ryan is Ryan, and he starts bullying her. It's not like hardcore bullying, but it's more just like enemies, like he's not very nice to her, but obviously that attraction is still there. And so they kind of try to fight it, but it doesn't really work, and this book is so steamy. Oh my god, the truck scene and the library scene, oh my goodness. This book is just so good. Like, I'm obsessed with it. The next book that I'm going to be recommending is Room Hate by Penelope Ward. I read this one recently and oh my goodness, I'm obsessed. So this follows Justin and Amelia, and they were childhood best friends. They met when they were like 11 or 12, I think, and you do see some portions of their childhood and things that happen throughout the years that build up to this falling out that they had. It's not quite as like to the extent as say like Love and Other Words, where you get a very detailed description of their past. It's more just like a few flashbacks to find out what happened. And then fast forward to the present, and basically Amelia's grandma has passed away. Justin was super close to her grandma because they grew up together, and he didn't really have a very good family life. Like, his mum and dad were very involved in their own lives and didn't really pay much attention to him when he was younger. And so he got really close with Amelia's grandma, and so she passed away and she left them her like summer house to both of them. And obviously they haven't spoken in like 9 years or something. They do not like each other. Well, Justin doesn't like Amelia because of what Amelia did, and so they both end up going to this house. Amelia shows up first. She has no idea if Justin is even gonna show up, and she's there for a couple days by herself. And then she's coming back from like this shop or something, and she walks in and she sees Justin, but Justin is not alone. He's brought his girlfriend along. So that creates a really awkward environment. Justin is literally so mean to her. He doesn't want anything to do with her. He hates her, and she ends up becoming friends with the girlfriend, and she's actually really, really nice, which kind of sucks because you like wanna dislike her, you want them to break up, but she's a really nice person. So anyway, there's all this sexual tension there. They obviously have always been in love with each other since they were younger, but nothing's ever happened between them even though they wanted it to, and he has a girlfriend, so they can't be together. There is no cheating in this book, just want to say that just in case you guys didn't want to read it because of that aspect, but there is no cheating. And then this book is told in like 2 parts, so you fast forward to the next part of the book and all this other stuff happens. This book has so many tropes besides, like, obviously there's enemies to lovers, childhood friends to lovers, but there's so many other tropes. Like, every trope you can think of is in this book, like literally everything, and it's crazy. So fast paced, so easy to read, so steamy, but it's so good. And this book is actually the book that got me out of a reading slump. So if you guys are in a reading slump, I definitely recommend reading this one if you want to get out of a reading slump. Next book that I'm going to be recommending to you guys today is Cruel Prince by Ashley Jade. This one's one of my favorite books in this video, and it's part of a series, and I love this whole series. You guys have heard me rave about Ruthless Night, which is the second book in the series. I love that book so much. But the first book is Cruel Prince, and it's childhood friends to enemies to lovers, and it's also a bully romance. This follows Jace and Dylan, and basically Dylan and Jace were childhood best friends. Of course, something really tragic ends up happening, causes them to fall out of that friendship, and Dylan actually moves away, and then she comes back for her senior year of high school. She's super excited to see her, you know, her childhood best friend who she lost contact with. She doesn't really know that Jace is super pissed at her for this stuff that happened, and he literally despises her existence and wants nothing to do with her. So she shows up at the school super excited to see her best friend and, you know, rekindle that friendship, and she's super excited. She goes up to him, she's like, oh my god, like, Jace, I know you probably don't remember me, but I like Dylan, like best friends, like, oh my god. And he's like, I don't want anything to do with you, blah blah blah. He's super awful to her. He starts bullying her like brutally, and it's a crazy roller coaster, but this book is so good. Their love and their like friendship is so sweet, like once you get there, oh my goodness. And you get flashbacks, I believe, to the past, and then obviously slowly builds up to what happened to cause their falling out. And obviously, like I said, it's a series, so the second book in the series is about Jace's brother Cole, and that book is my favorite. It's everything. And then the next two books in the series follow Bianca, their younger sister, and I'm obsessed with this whole series. You need to read it if you haven't already. I rave about it all the time. It's phenomenal. The next book that I'm going to be recommending is not exactly childhood friends to enemies to lovers, but it kind of is, if that makes sense, and that's To Love Jasonthorne by Ella Mays. So this is childhood friends. They have a falling out. They haven't seen each other in years, and then they meet again, and she's kind of pissed off at him, but he doesn't know what he did wrong, and he doesn't think he did anything wrong. So it's not super enemies, but it's more like dislike for like a minute and then turns lovers. It's more like a, I wouldn't say miscommunication, it's more just a misunderstanding. So it doesn't, the enemies part doesn't last for very long, but I still thought I'd include it anyway because I really love this one. It's super good. So basically this follows Jason and Olive, and Jason and Olive were childhood, not best friends, it was he's her brother's best friend, but she was really close with him when they were younger. And so she was literally in love with him. She was like, this is the boy I'm going to marry. Like, I'm going to marry this man. And she was literally obsessed. And then something happens and causes them to have a falling out, and Jason actually moves away. They haven't seen each other in years. They're like in their 20s now. And Jason is this big time actor. And he has a really bad reputation. He sleeps around a lot. He has been caught with millions of girls, not millions, but he's been caught with heaps of girls, and he ends up landing this role in this movie that's an adaptation of Olive's book. She is actually a best-selling author. Her first book is being made into a movie, and the book that she's written is actually based off her love story with Jason and what would have happened if, you know, they didn't have that falling out and they ended up together. And so Jason ends up getting the lead role in this movie, but because of his reputation he almost loses his role, and he needs something to, you know, help with his reputation. So he decides that he's going to get married to Olive. Now obviously this is a marriage of convenience, fake dating, and they end up getting married. Olive is super hesitant at first because she's like, I don't want to be with him if it isn't real, because obviously she still does have those underlying feelings there, and seeing him again kind of brings that all back. And she's really hesitant because she really doesn't want to be with him if it's not going to be real. But, you know, obviously we know that fake love's going to turn into real love, and so yeah, a lot of things happen. This book is so good. I'm obsessed, and I don't even like the marriage of convenience trope very much, but this one's just really good. The next book that I'm going to be recommending to you guys today is Bad Boys Break Hearts by Michaelia Smelter. I feel like I always say her last name wrong. I never know how to say it, but this book is so good. This one follows Mason and Rory, and they were childhood best friends. And then something happened. I literally can't even remember what happened. It's been so long since I read this book. But something happens to cause them to have a falling out. They haven't spoken in years, and you know, the story goes, I've literally said that so many times in this video. But they end up going to the same college, and she doesn't know, obviously she's just gotten into this college as a freshman, and she runs into him because she sleeps with his room. No, she doesn't sleep with his roommate. She almost sleeps with his roommate, but then they don't actually sleep together. They end up going on a couple dates or whatever. But anyway, she wakes up the morning after a party and she walks out. She's gonna like sneak out. She doesn't know if anything happened or not because she can't remember. And she runs into Mason. And she's like, oh my god, I hope he doesn't remember me, blah, 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 runs away. He obviously remembers her. It's a crazy thing. And he is super jealous because she goes on a bunch of these dates with his roommate Cole. And And so he gets jealous of that. It's like, obviously I don't want that to happen because he's still secretly in love with her, but he literally hates her and he's so mean to her. But it's so good. They end up getting closer. You know, they always end up spending time together somehow because, you know, that's just how things go. And this book is just phenomenal. I'm obsessed. It is like a bad boy, good girl trope, but it's so good. And the last book that I'm going to be recommending to you guys today is Reputation by Adriana Locke or Lockie, I'm not sure. So there's Colin Bellamy, and basically they were really good friends when they were younger, and then they have a falling out. Something happens and he ends up becoming this big time musician, famous country singer, and like he moves away, all these things happen. Something happens that causes Bellamy to literally hate Cole. Cole has no idea, no, not Cole, Coy. Oh my god, have I been saying Cole this whole time? Probably. I meant Coy. Coy has no idea what he did wrong, but he decides that because he knows Bellamy literally hates him, he's going to use this to his advantage, show up all the time, be super annoying, tease her, and just always be there. And she obviously is going to get more and more annoyed, but Coy literally has no idea what he's done wrong, and they haven't even spoken about it. And Bellamy refuses to speak to him about it. Anyway, things do end up happening. They talk, they find out what all went wrong, and then obviously slowly that hate turns into love, and it's really good. That is the last book that I'm going to be recommending to you guys today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and if you guys have any recommendations for this trope, leave them in the comments below so I can read them, because like I said, I love this trope. And let me know any other book recommendation videos that you guys want to see. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.